Good morning. I really appreciate that you all are here, especially that you are without your shoes. I think that there's a long tradition for removing the shoes in a holy time and place, and I feel like I should remove mine now as well, and perhaps I will. So thank you very much for being with us and for really bringing our hearts to a kind of a focus. We really appreciate that. We're very honored this morning to gather together on this rainy day. On this fall day, we're especially honored to have Diana Abrahams with us as our speaker. Diana, since she came here in 2011, has been very active in religious life with Hillel, with the Truett Center. She has served on the faculty committee of religious and spiritual life. She is one of the people that I go to when I need a word of advice or want to check something out with a student. She's a worker here in the Truett Center this fall and this year, and we really count on her. We're delighted to have her here. She's an active member of the Jewish community and of the interfaith community. So we're delighted to have her speak to us this morning on her personal story of multi-faith understanding. And I'll just invite her to come up. We're grateful to you, Diana, for your presence with us and for what you'll say to us today.
Good morning. I hope everyone is doing well. I know it's kind of rainy. So I was thinking about this and I was getting ready and I was realizing that, this isn't a class. Like, I'm not going to get graded on my knowledge of a certain subject, and that's really nice. That's a nice change here at school. But I was also realizing that the only time I've really spoken about religion in front of a group, it's been in front of a group of Jews. Because I grew up Jewish, and so starting with my bat mitzvah when I was 13, I gave a speech to my congregation, and there were a lot of friends and family there, and it was it was a crazy experience, but it's ever since then, whenever I've talked about beliefs or my beliefs or really religion in general, it's been in front of Jews, and so this is a really new experience for me, and I'm excited. But I also know that comes with a common language and a common understanding that isn't necessarily here today. And so taking a cue from my rabbi from when I had my bat mitzvah, I'm going to try and explain some things and add in anything that I think might be confusing or not normal to everybody else. So I grew up Jewish. I'm from Maryland. There's a lot of Jews there. It was never really weird to not be able to do something on a Friday night or, to be like, oh, well, it's Saturday, so I'm not going to be there. Things like that were pretty normal. And I knew coming to Elon that it would be a change and it would be a challenge because North Carolina is a different kind of state than Maryland. And that was actually part of my interest in North Carolina and in Elon. I knew that there was a Jewish community and that it was growing and there were wonderful people involved. And I thought, hey, this might be a really great opportunity to challenge my identity and to see how Jewish I want to be, to see what it's like for me to be Jewish when I have to explain it all the time. When people ask me what the most important holiday of the Jewish calendar year is, and they don't understand why I'm fasting for 25 hours. So that's really had an effect on me, and my own personal Jewish identity has really changed over the past few years. And it's still changing, and it's been influenced by all of my classes and all of the people I've been able to interact with and all of the opportunities I've had through Hillel and through the Truett Center and through all sorts of other communities here on campus. And it's really the explaining that has helped me figure out the process of figuring it out, because I am not done and I don't know. And my identity is still changing, and that's good, but that's why I'm not really going to talk about it today, because I don't have a good explanation of it yet. So something from my childhood that has stuck with me is, so in 6th grade in Sunday school, we used a book for our curriculum called Ma La'asot, which is literally translated as what do you do, or what to do, but the curriculum was like, what do you do? It was like moral dilemmas, right? So for a 6th grader, some of these moral dilemmas were, there's a dog in a lake and you don't know if it can swim, but you can't swim. So do you go and you try and save the dog, or do you go try and get help, or do you just stand there? What do you do in that situation? And So in 6th grade, we would break up into groups and talk about them or make a skit or something like that, and then we would come back together. And one of the things that was the most interesting to me from that was that we would all, like within our group, we would generally choose the same answer. We would all be like, yeah, this is what we should do. This is definitely the right answer. But other groups would have chosen different answers, and they would have explained them in a different way and been like, no, this is what you should do, and this is why. So that's always kind of stuck with me in a way that I hadn't really realized until I was thinking about what I wanted to say today. And that's something that I really have tried to bring with me in talking to people from different backgrounds, because there isn't a right answer, and you don't know what to do all the time, and everyone has to answer that question all the time. And so many situations, when you're younger, it might be like, oh, someone's being bullied, but like, what am I supposed to do? I don't have to do anything. They're not bullying me. And as you get older, a lot of times, I know my hair isn't as blonde as it was in the summer, but it's kind of blonde still. So, people have to like think about when in a conversation you're gonna admit that you're Jewish, right? When are you gonna say, oh, that one time in Hebrew school, or oh yeah, that time, like bat mitzvah season, right? Then everyone knows. And then it's something that you can talk about. But a lot of times I get the, oh, you're Jewish? You don't really look Jewish. And I'm like, well, okay, like, what are you supposed to say to that? A lot of people are like, yeah, it's funny, I'm blonde, I'm still Jewish, it's fine. But, but some people, that makes them want to be like, hey, like, why? Why don't I look Jewish? What does Jewish look like? What does that mean? So when you come to things like that, when you come to questions of what you should do, there's this like search for an answer. So I've been taking a class called Jewish-Christian Dialogue, and I have been thinking a lot about how you talk to people of other faiths and how you talk to anyone, really, who has a different idea from you, which is most people. So what I've come to think recently is that you can't look for an answer. You can't go talk to someone who's so different from you and say, why does this make sense to you? And like, what makes it real for you? Because you want to understand what they're saying, but it can't be the answer for you. They can't tell you what you believe. And I think that's a problem that a lot of people have, is they like want to understand, what Jews believe. But there isn't like one answer. There isn't a right answer. There's my answer for what I believe as a Jew, but there's also my answer for what I believe as a person. And so I think that's one thing that I've come to think recently. So if you're all willing to take a second and turn to the person next to you, or in your little groups of 3 or something, and think about and talk about for a moment times when you've recently come to a situation and thought, what do I do now? What should I do? So just take a second and think about it and talk about it with each other. Okay, so not to interrupt this wonderful discussion that I hear, I really am happy that you all have indulged me and have talked to each other. I really appreciate that. But just to finish it up, because we all have days that we have to go about, there's a word in Hebrew, hineni, and it means here I am. And it has a lot of history and tradition in Jewish context. But I was thinking about like a way to kind of wrap this up and tie everything together, and because a lot of times my brain kind of goes everywhere, and so, I know that you should finish with something conclusion-like. So this word kind of came to me because I was like, well, that's how I want to approach talking to other people. I want to be open. I want to not look for the right answer. I want to be listening and willing to understand and willing to hear their opinion and let it influence my own ideas and influence my own beliefs, and know that other people's ideas help them and help their lives, and they're valid. Other people's ideas are valid, and so they should have worth. And so that is how I want to approach the world right now, as open, as here. So thank you.
Diana, thank you. Hanani, be here, be present. We're going to be here and present this afternoon with Diana. You all started conversations with one another. If you want to continue them, we'll be here a little after 4 until about 5 this afternoon. We can talk more about what it means to be here and how to think about all these things. Also want to thank Twisted Measure, so that you all know what they were singing this morning, because they changed it up at the last minute. It's not what's in the program. They started with Let It Be by the Beatles, and they're going to end here with Something to Believe In by Parachute. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Twisted Measure. Appreciate it.